This is an excerpt from our Occult Detective mini film festival. To hear the full episode, click on the link in the description. And now, on with the show. The second movie on our list, The Ninth, from 2019, that was directed
Russian
by
movie.
Nikolai Komariki. Oh, it was so good. And
Yeah, it did have some really fun, like for a detective occult kind of movie, it had some fun, like 300 type motion effect fighting stuff, which Russia does really well.
it did. I was going to ask you about the fight scene with Yevgeny Siganov, our lead, who, by the way, is reputed as the main, at least as of 2024, he's reputed as the main film and stage actor in Russia. He's like the biggest name.
I felt that.
Yevgeny Siganov.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right. He has a fight scene, and there were so many quick cuts in it. Like, I didn't know what you were noticing as an editor. It seemed to me like before every punch, there was a few frames, or after every punch, there was a few frames cut out, and then all of a sudden it was connecting so much faster than it should have.
It's like they shoot everything in really slow motion and then just lose a bunch of frames right as so you get that little fast moment. Okay. And how do I put this? It's like when I see things like that, it's just like sit back and eat the popcorn because this is gonna be a fun ride. Those kinds of little tricks are just like, oh, you've put cinematic value into this to make a fun I'm going on a ride kind of movie. So when I saw the fight scene, I was like, oh, this is like I don't want to say like, you know, Russian Marvel style or something like that, but it was like, this has got a budget to it that they're doing this kind of stuff.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, it made me think of Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes movies.
Yes, that's a much better comparison.
I mean, we still get Robert Downey Jr., but
I mean, they had I can't even remember the Russian guy's name now, but he apparently is Russia's Robert Downey Jr. So
I worked so hard on this name. It's Yevgeny Saganov. Nope.
It's Giddy Saganov.
Saganov.
Sorry for brutalizing that.
And The Ninth also stars Daisy Head, who I recognized from Dungeons & Dragons in 2023. Yes. And I bet this was the movie that got her that role because she plays in Dungeons & Dragons. She's one of like the red sorcerers.
She's like the red sorcerer.
Yeah. This one she plays a medium who can, you know, connect people with their dead loved ones, but her costume and her makeup for it is absolutely fantastic. She looks like a proper Disney evil queen villainess.
Yes, and her henchman, her partner, in crime, as it were, is the muscle from Tenet, the Russian guy who played by Kenneth Branagh's like muscle in the movie Tenet, which. Also, what a movie. So I saw that, I was just like, oh, that's a dude from Tenet. Oh, sweet.
That's so cool. We should tell you what The Ninth is about. It's set in 19th century Russia in St. Petersburg. And it's about a police investigator who's assisted by a British medium, and they're investigating a series of ritual murders. It's, we're going to touch back on 7 because it is, the Ninth is about a 9th victim because throughout the movie, there are 8 killings where young women show up with like dashes branded into their skin for the first third and so on, or alchemical symbols. They have like organs cut out, like the eyelids sewn back up and their mouths sewn shut. It's pretty brutal.
It's a proper like serial killer detective movie, and I really enjoyed this because it was that, you know, it's that classic detective of like, no.
The unbeliever versus the...
Exactly.
Yes. Mulder and Scully. Kind of.
Exactly. So he's like going, this is all nonsense. There's something human sinister going on here. This isn't some magical nonsense. And he sticks with that most of the time. And that's kind of the nice thing about this particular, you know, genre in this episode is that you're always getting this like fantastical world against the practical world of the guy who's the practical, or the person that's the practical, is always investigating the impractical kind of magical, and he's just like, I don't buy this.
What I really liked about Dark Intruder was there was a lot of buy-in from the story that led to buy-in from me, where the story itself established that magic was real. That in, I think it's set in 1890. In 1890 in Dark Intruder, they go to Leslie Nielsen when weird things happen because he's the occult detective, and he'll figure it out. With the Ninth, we get into the skepticism, and the movie, I appreciated, had a debate within it of a believer versus a non-believer. And one thing I was looking for when I was making this list was that I wanted the magic to be real. A lot of things that were suggested to me about occult detectives were things that I would say were more like Scooby-Doo, where it turns out it's just somebody with a mask and maybe some special effects. But in the Ninth, it proves out that Daisy Head's character is right, that magic is real, and the detective is wrong and has to adapt.
And go after that person using magic to get the power that they seek to do the magical deed that they want to have done, which is resurrecting their daughter.
Right. And I will point out that go see these movies for fun. If you're listening to this and you enjoy watching movies, don't let it stop you from seeing this just because we tell you what's going on. At the very end, the Ninth ritual is completed, but our heroes are safe. And the dead girl that the bad guy was trying to resurrect comes back to life right after the ritual is completed. She's alone far away from where the ritual took place. She's by herself in a big house in the middle of Russia with nobody around. And it's never addressed. No one says, and then the police went and helped this poor lost girl who had been dead, who's now woken up in a strange place. It's
Home Alone Russia style for the sequel.
In our list, we first see in the Ninth the idea of human sacrifice, which is kind of a cliche. So much of real occult practices have nothing to do with human sacrifice or harming people. It is a cliche in Hollywood that the bad guys are willing to do some awful transgression, some crime against humanity, like killing kids or killing young women in a bid to gain power.
It's a quick sell. You're like, oh yeah, okay, bad guy.
Right. Oh no, it immediately translates as bad guy. We know, and we know what their goal is, and we know how far they're willing to go for it. Yeah. But it occurred to me, because this comes up in several of the movies we watched, the idea of why that is. Obviously, killing kids is bad. Killing young women is bad. But why do we choose that? And why is that the cliche, especially when it's like a virgin? In so many movies, a virgin has to perform the ritual, or it has to be a virgin sacrifice. One of my favorite examples would be from the Monster Squad.
I was just going to say.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is why Nick and I are friends.
He doesn't count.
Right. Yeah, because in the Monster Squad, it's somebody's sister who's supposed to like perform the rite to banish the evil away. But then it doesn't work, and they go, what's the matter? And she goes, I never said I was a virgin. You guys just presumed. And it's his older sister, and so the guy then has his younger sister, his 5-year-old sister, read the spell.
Very young.
And then
sister.
It works.
Yeah.
It occurred to me, wait a minute, what is the value of having had sex or not having had sex that makes the big difference?
And why couldn't one of the Monster Squad do it? Clearly they were all virgins too.
I mean, wait a minute. Hey. Yeah, why couldn't one of the boys in the Monster Squad do it? And I think that's another key point is, why does it always have to be a girl?
Right. They're always ushering out a virgin woman in some way, shape, or form. It's just like, wait, but...
Well, I have an answer for that.
Oh, shoot.
Because it has nothing to do with sex. Obviously, if your spell needs virgin blood, it's not the having sex or not having had sex. That wouldn't change the blood of anybody. What it is it's about intention. One thing I've learned from a friend of mine who does practice magic is a lot of spells, it's more about intention and not a strict scientific recipe of putting these exact elements together. And
same with meditation. It's like, if you want to go journeying, like you would see something, you have to set your intention if you want to see it.
Right on. The example I was given for different intentions and spells was if a spell were to say, you have to mix all these things together and you have to bring nails from a coffin, as an example. The idea behind that, or the intention behind that, is that you have to get something that was hard for you or something that felt transgressive.
Right.
So it's not necessarily coffin nails that you need, because if you work in a mortuary and have ready access to coffin nails, then that's not an effort for you or transgression for you, depending on what is needed. And then you might pick something else that would satisfy that. That's why I think a virgin girl as a sacrifice or virgin's blood is because you're stealing something away. And this goes back to more agrarian cultures, like pre-Christian stuff, and some Old Testament stuff too. It's about taking a resource away from a community. In an agrarian kind of culture, and this is not how we view people today, but a young woman is somebody who can still have lots of kids and add to the community.
Right.
And add to the culture. And the thing is, women have value above and beyond that. That's not the way to look at them. And so repeating this idea of a virgin female sacrifice is just sort of reinforcing that very reductionist idea. But that's, I think, where it comes from, is now as a potential second generation that could come from this young woman, if she became a mother, that is going to be cut off from the culture or cut off from that family. That is a transgression. To take that away from other people, to take that away from a family, is evil. And so that villain is setting their intention by being willing to cross that line. Painting it as we'll go that far. We will cut off generations from your family.